think that like having a healthy relationship with social media is so on brand for us, because it is something like, if we're going through this, like kind of like, I don't want to say like addiction to social media, but this, we're kind of like struggling with having a good relationship with it, like everyone else is too. And so I think that maybe it's good to talk about our experiences, things that we've learned, and right?
For sure. And I think like part of the reason why this came up is because lately I've just deleted TikTok. I've deleted it 2 days ago. I never had TikTok until we started our podcast. And I found that over the past few months, I think because it's so cold here, there's not a whole lot I can do outside. I don't want to leave my house. I have been like addicted to TikTok because it's one of those things where it's like you think of anything and you can go online and you can just go and see like video after video about it, and then just get stuck down these rabbit holes. And I feel like it took me to a place where it was just like I was like frozen in time with my TikTok. So I had to delete it. And since I've deleted it, honestly, just over like, it's only been 2 days, the amount of shit I've done around my house, the amount of things that I've been procrastinating, putting off since my little like addiction spurt happened is unreal. My mood feels better. I feel like when I'm waking up, I'm more refreshed. And that's only just like 2 days. Now, I'm not saying like everybody delete TikTok, whatever. But for me, like I just definitely needed a break because it took me in and it got me.
Yeah, and I've been struggling with that too lately. I've been, trying to like limit it. I've been trying to, because I just feel like I get sucked in, and then I'm up way too late at night, and then I'm tired the next day because I've just been scrolling all night, and it hasn't been exactly like healthy. And I'm just like, I need a better balance with it right now. And so I'm trying to limit back a little bit, but there's a lot of positives to social media as well, so it's not like it's not all bad. And I definitely think that like when it comes to TikTok too, I really feel like I've just really found like my tribe of people, and even with the trans community, it's such a great place because we are such a small population that it is, maybe because I live in the city of West Hollywood, the like queerest place on earth, that I do come across trans people in person. But for the most part, like we're not just like that common around town and normal places. And so it is a really great place to be able to go and find, your community and find people that have things in common with you. And I feel like I have friends from all over the world on there that I communicate with. And so I really have like a really soft spot in my like heart for TikTok, but like all social media for that reasons. And obviously like being a hairstylist in 2024, down back to 2016, you cannot just be a hairstylist. You have to be a content creator hairstylist if you want to have business.
Yeah.
And so I rely fully for my career on social media, and I built my whole career on social media. And now it's like, we do this podcast and we use social media to build our podcasts and things. So there is so much like good things. And I think that like we definitely learn a lot from social media.
No, I agree. I think that there's definitely like a lot of perks to social media, especially when you're building a brand, especially when you're in certain types of industries. Like as a model, like the first thing that a client's going to do when they go on to me, or if there's any interest, they're going to go first thing to Instagram, mostly to Instagram because there's a lot of still images. So I feel like for me, it's important to build my brand, which is always all over the place, but it's important for me to be putting myself out there and, make content. And so I think it's good, like when you say about the learning thing, like I've learned so much on TikTok just about certain things. Like I just learned about maladaptive daydreaming, which is like a whole other thing that I could spend hours talking about because I didn't realize that there's a name for like all the weird shit that goes on in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you can go on these rabbit holes and learn so much about something that you didn't know was an actual thing. So like I think that even just like the levels and the different intricates of learning that you can do, especially on TikTok, because you're getting so many different unique perspectives as well, I think is really cool. as well as learning things like if you're like a crime junkie like me, the all the different things like, and social media has been huge. Like even watching like the Gabby Petito documentary, that's what was social media is basically what led the police to be able to find her. Do you know what I mean? So like her body, but so there's so many things and like just in the way of connection and learning and, you know, people coming together to help one another. And then of course, just
Oh,
comedy.
yeah.
Like we all just want to have a good life.
Exactly. The comedy is so good. And the creativity to some of the comedy, the creativity of everything is just, amazing. I do feel though, like, okay, I like feel like a little, because I feel like the addiction part of it comes like, and I hate to even be like, oh, it's an addiction thing. Because I guess for some people it could be, for other people it's not. But I'm just saying, like, it is something about the dopamine receptor. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are scrolling, searching for that dopamine hit of that our body like being rewarded in some way, and so we just scroll and scroll and scroll and waiting for something exciting to happen, or something happy to happen, so that we get that like dopamine switch. And so that's kind of the like addiction side to it a little bit.
Yeah. And I found too, like sometimes like when I'm scrolling like that, there's so many moments in my head that I'm like, oh my God, why am I even on here? Like there's nothing good. I don't want to be doing it, but like I literally can't stop.
No,
I literally can't stop. And I think for me, as someone who has an addictive personality, I think it's just not being able to stop until I get that dopamine hit.
no, exactly.
And then I'm like, okay, now I can.
Yeah, and you know how I know that there is something to that is like if I wake up in the morning and I'm like really groggy and I'm really struggling to be awake, if I scroll TikTok for a couple of minutes, I'm wide awake, like wired. And I think that's the thing about TikTok is that it is a bit of like information overload. And
My brain hurts sometimes after TikTok.
no, literally, and it's just like this constant stream of, communication, constant stream of other things happening, and it just like it can overwhelm you like cognitively. And I actually, okay, so I've always had a lot of sleep problems, and I saw this doctor, and he was telling me, he's like, oh, do you scroll TikTok a lot? And I was like, duh, yeah. And he was saying that some of my fatigue that I have could be caused by the information overload from the social media and like the constant swiping, and that it like your brain is processing so many images, so much information, so many things at once, that it's making your brain work in overdrive, and it will actually like mentally exhaust you from the overwhelm of it all.
And I also think to add to that, I think too, depending on what you're consuming, like you don't even know how it could be affecting you mentally in terms of your mental health. So like not only is your brain working super overtime, like how you're saying, but especially if it's like something negative as well. And it's like, it's actually making you feel down on yourself. So not only are you feeling down on yourself, but then it's like so much overtime as well. So you're just kind of like completely burnt out from it. Like I know for me, just like on any social media, one of the things that I've had to really learn is just like, I can't compare myself to other accounts. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to go on, and it's so easy to, especially when you're having a shitty day or feeling terrible about yourself, but to log on and just see somebody who's just like completely brightened up and is living out the perfect life and is maybe doing the things that you want to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. That for me is so frustrating. And it completely just burns out my light. Like it'll tear me down. I could be having the best day, and if there's something that like can trigger me like that, it will just tear me down. And automatically anything that I've done that I feel proud about, say about my social media or say about work, just it becomes not meaningless, but it kind of just like puts out that light.
No, exactly. There's so much comparison and that happens with people, and that's a really problem. And I think that's with like all social media too. And I really think it was back in her Instagram days was at an all-time high, because it really was that airbrush perfect images of a perfect life, and we didn't really hear them much. We didn't really like know much about these people. We just saw perfect images.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because there's a lot of documentaries that are coming out right now, like I just lost the name, but the 8 passengers. So they were a YouTube family, and the mom's now in jail, but the daughter's now coming out and speaking and being like, we put on this whole persona of like your most perfect family, but this is what was going on behind the scenes. And she really took us, like, I listened to her audiobook, and it was, you know, as much as you know that, like, okay, nobody's life is really that perfect, and like, this is content creation. I actually have been seeing other content creators who will show the behind the scenes of them even just doing like a crumble review. And they take us through like how much of like a shit show it is, but that at the end, it just looks completely perfect. So we're comparing ourselves to like the end result, which isn't natural. It's all formulated and cut and pieced and put together, right?
The one other thing too is like sometimes it can be very toxic interactions with people. Like I'm a comment warrior. Like I go to battle in those comment sections.
I know.
You know, whether it is me responding to hate comments, and whether like you look like this or whatever. And again, it's some like creepy old man that has no leg to stand on.
Oh my God.
But I do, especially too, like politically, you can get in those comment sections in the political, and then it's like, no, you're a terrible person, you know, and it's just like going back and forth, and it's just like that negativity of you're just like fighting in the comments, you're fighting with a bully online about yourself, you're fighting about this, and it just like interacting with other like very negative people, you are just feeding into their negativity because they're miserable, and it's bringing you down with them.
Yeah. Like there's times where I go online and I see a post, and instantly I'm like, I rush to the comment section because I'm like, I know it's going to be a shit show. But right? Like, you know, by the post, you're like, okay, this is going to be so entertaining just to read the comments. I don't really interact. Like, I'll post something if it's funny or it's something that's like really positive in that sense. I'll say something, but I won't go and like open up that can of worms to deal with like internet people like on a negative time. Like, because for me, it's just like, it's so draining. But the comment section sometimes.
Oh yeah, I will sprint to that comment section to see sometimes. Oh my God, have you ever had like comments go viral? Like you leave a comment on someone's video and then your comment gets like 37,000 likes.
I've had it where it gets like a couple thousand likes, but I haven't had 37,000. Why, did you have a viral
I've had
moment?
So many viral comments moments. I will sometimes sit down and take 30 minutes to craft a well-formulated comment.
Stop
and
it.
No,
can we have an episode where we just review those comments?
I would have to find them. I don't know how I find a list of my most viral comments, but I have had some very, very viral comments. Like there's some of them that I know were like well over 100,000 like likes on it. Yeah. Yes. I've just like hit at the right moment. I've said the right thing, the right whatever. It's like, oh my God, that is some satisfaction though, because then I'm like, okay, well, that's a good side. But there is.
You're like, I know what I said was right.
Exactly. And why do I keep saying exactly? And then now that you've been off of TikTok this week, are you like having FOMO? Are you like fear of missing out?
No, I don't have fear of missing out on like, I found actually it was interesting today. I was looking at this new hair product that I'm using. I'm using a hair gloss. And I was like, oh, I want to know like something about it. So I instantly was like, oh, I can just go to TikTok and like I can find out anything on there. So that is where I was kind of like, oh shit, I can't do that. But I get FOMO with social media in the sense of like, not so much anymore because like I don't really care for these things as much. So I would say that that's the way that I would experience FOMO on social media, but not so much from not being on it.
Okay, yeah, because you can't look things up. That would be hard. I do think the one thing about like getting so involved into the social media world and just like you can easily kind of like it can be a distraction from your real life. Do you know what I mean? Like you can start to live like a digital life almost, and you like aren't having like real human experiences in real life. You're like losing connection with friends, you're losing connections with family. And so I think that's something that can come with like having an unhealthy relationship with social media.
I agree with that. I feel like especially when you're having, so much communication with other people and you're able to relate to other people. Like, this is my fear with the whole virtual reality world that is becoming more of a thing. And I think that it's true that you can just lose like your genuine connection. Like, these past couple of weeks, I've probably spent more time online on my social media than I have connecting with my friends. I have like reaching out with my friends. Like, I feel like it's kind of pulled and taken me away, which has like affected my actual real life connections with people.
No, exactly. Yeah, because you're just not reaching out because you're so busy. Like when you don't respond to my text messages, but then I see you sending me like links to videos.
Exactly, because it's like I'm not even seeing the messages coming in. Like, I see the names and I'm just like, whatever. I'm like, I'm so like, oh, I'll send her this, I'll send her that. Like, again, like the past couple of weeks, like TikTok really just like took over my whole being. And I think I truly think because I'm already in a state of like this weird like seasonal depression. Like I said, I can't really go outside. It's -20 today, so it's like freezing. And I think because I'm so cooped up, it's like that's sort of my outlet. Like, that's my escape. That's my form of connection. But it's affecting my real life so much that it's like it's becoming unhealthy for me. So I have to cut it off.
Exactly. But there is
Exactly. That's
exactly.
word of the day
I
for you,
know,
by
I
the
know. And
way.
when I
Exactly.
edit, I'm like, stop it, Kyle. Stop saying exactly, exactly. Because they say it twice in a row. It's like a weird thing. I don't know.
I've never noticed it until this. Exactly. Exactly.
I just got distracted.
Never noticed it. It's like my oh my God that I say sometimes when I don't know what else to say. I just be like, oh my God.
Yeah, you just
They could be our catchphrases. We should do t-shirts where it's like exactly, exactly, and oh my God.
so original.
See, see what we did? We took something and we just turned it into a positive
Exactly.
and a profit.
Said no, exactly. Okay. So there definitely is like a mental health like impact to all of that. Wouldn't you say?
For sure. I think then there's a mental health aspect in consuming social media, like the way that you consume it can affect your mental health. But I think that also if you're producing and creating content, I think that that's an aspect that doesn't really get touched on a lot because there's a whole mental health aspect with that. Like, I know for myself that as somebody who will put out a reel or do a reel, it can be draining on my mental health because I'm like, I worked like 6 hours on, say, one project that I put out, whatever. And all of a sudden I could have like 20,000 views. And like, for me, like, that's not bad. But then I'll have like 3 fucking comments. And I'm like, well, how does that add up? Like, how does this work? Or are people going to think I look stupid? Like, all these other people get like so much more engagement than me. Why am I even putting stuff out? People just clearly don't give a shit. Like, that's where my mind goes. And that's how it affects me because it really discourages me to the point where then I just like step away from it and I'm like, I'm done. But it's like, I can't be done because it's like, it's a source of income for me as well as like it's self-promotion, you know? So it's like, social media has affected my mental health immensely on the content creation.
Yeah, I get that. I'm always like checking the views, searching for that validation. Like if I say something on there, like I want people to like back it up and comment and be like, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But there also is like when you're posting too, like there is that fear of judgment. You're very like, oh, I'm gonna put this out there. And I'm always like, oh, my aunt's gonna see this or someone's gonna see this. What are they gonna say? What are they gonna think? I overthink everything.
For me, I'm never afraid. This is the weird thing, okay, for me, is that I'm never afraid of people judging me for what I'm saying or doing, or if I'm dancing around stupid. Like, I don't care. Like, if you don't want to watch that, don't watch that. If you want to make fun of me, make fun of me. Like, sometimes I'm pretty laughable. For me, it's the result that I fear I'm being judged on. For me, it's like when I only have like 20 comments or 7 comments, that's what I'm like, oh my God, people are going to laugh at me. That's what it is. Like, I'm not getting like crazy results. Like, clearly, do you know what I mean? I don't know why that? Because like, I don't care about what I'm putting out. Do you know what I mean? It's like a weird thing. It's like I'm scared for people to see like maybe the lack of success that I've had. Like maybe there's something like deeper with that. I don't know.
That could be a big one. Yeah, I could see where it's like that lack of success kind of thing. Like, I think you have plenty of success, but sometimes it does, you do care about like what other people think. Is it like coming off to other people as it looks this way, or how is it coming off to them?
It's discouraging. And I mean, I've been, professionally posting on a professional page for like almost 10 years or over 10 years now. And it's like, I wish that we could post things and have them out there and hide. Like I used to hide all of my likes and everything. And I hide the likes and hide the views. I truly wish that. I wish that that is something I feel like if that would happen, I feel like I would feel more excited to post on there.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? Where some people love, like, they post all this shit and they're like, oh my God, I got this, this, and this. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I hide other people's likes. I don't want to see what you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so easy.
Because to me, it's not really about that.
Yeah. It's so easy to get burnt out with all of that.
Uh-huh.
But let's get into some like ways of like building the healthier relationship. We've talked about like just like a lot. We've just been trashing her. We've just been tearing her down.
Listen, it's done a lot to us. I mean, like, here's the thing is that I think that there are so many ways that you can build a healthy relationship. And I think that recognizing when you need to fix your relationship or recognizing like when you need to step away, I think that is a huge thing. And just being self-aware of like how everything is affecting you, I think it's going to be your biggest component.
Yeah. And you want to, I think what the biggest thing is too is limit like the overload with it. Like set some time boundaries, like maybe set like your sleep timer on your phone. That's like time to go to sleep. So you're not scrolling all night. Or I have mine set to like shut off at 2 hours. I immediately hit ignore over and over again, but I do set a timer so that I'm not scrolling. Yeah, exactly. Another big one, and I've always done this, is disable the notifications.
Me too.
Because it's too much. Like I can't handle all those flashes and all the things like this person liked it, this person liked it. God forbid the Facebook text messages and emails and whatever else that I get. Like that's out of control.
No. And not only that, like it's such a distraction as well. Do you know what I mean? Like just like there's like that thing where it's like, okay, like you see things coming in and you see, and okay, you want to know and you want to keep up with it, but it's like, it's fully distracting. Like, is that what you're meaning by it being annoying, or because it's like distracting you, or is it just like the sound of it that you're getting?
Well, no, the sound, I never have a sound on my phone, but it is just like that constant banner flashing. Because what happens is then I start to miss out on like text messages. I miss out on everything else because it's just so many things popping up because I'm just so popular and there's so many notifications happening at once. And it's gay. I'm like Britney Spears. I'm like Lindsay Lohan and rumors.
You don't even have like text message notifications on for a lot of the time because I'm like, I control my phone. Like I don't need to know all the time. Like I'll look at it when I get to it.
Exactly. That's me too. And I also think it's important to have that social life outside of social media. You still need to hold on to those real life connections and, have some hobbies that are not about just social media and have a life outside of that because it's not everything.
And I think like nurturing your real life connections and like building like, I always say community, but that's what it is around you. Like, even for you to go to the garden, like there's people that are in that garden community that, you can get along with, that you can do whatever with, and that's healthy for you. Right. So I think it's like, you can find community in everything that you do, even if it's just going to get your nails done and maybe you bring a friend with you and talking to the people there. And you know what I mean? Like, I think it's healthy, and I think it's healthy to control what you're consuming. Like, set your preferences, be mindful of what you're watching, be mindful of what's triggering you when you're watching it. Like, you might have to mute some people. Like if there's someone that like you really want to support and you do support, and like, they might post something and you're just like, maybe it's upsetting you because your own personal things. I've had to do this. maybe you're not working as much. And, if you're a freelancer and you're seeing somebody who's working all the time, that can be triggering. It's okay to mute that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, just mute them. You can still support them by following them, but you don't have to see them all the time. And it's not personal. So many people have muted me. Like, you can tell to stop watching your shit. It's fine. I don't take it personally. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine.
Yeah, and I always say with people, well, one, on like TikTok videos, you can click on it and say like not interested in this. But also, if something is like, I will go in and clean my feed. And so like basically sometimes my feed will go to like a dark place. And I will, anything I see that's like that I don't want to be there, or anything that's a little negative, I start swiping really fast on it. Like I watch like 1 second, I'm like, swipe, 1 second, swipe. And then I will sit and watch things that I do want to see. And so you can almost retrain your algorithm to pull you out of that dark hole, because it will lead you down into the dark hole always. And so right now I'm on dairy, goat, and chicken farming TikTok, and it's happy over there.
Amazing.
It's happy. It's happy. I'm very in.
It's happy time.
Very into.
It's a happy time.
I'm very into all the things you can make with goat milk, and I am like, I'm staying to buy own goat milk now. Goat cheese all the way.
You got eggnog and goat's milk. You know what that's from?
No, I don't.
It's from Mad TV, the Kenny Rogers.
Oh,
You've never seen that?
no.
Oh my God, girl! Like, no. How are we?
Oh my God. Yeah, so I think that's what you can also filter your comments. Like you can type in words that you don't want to see in your comments, and it'll filter those out. But I think the biggest one is just the simple, straightforward, don't compare yourself to others.
Well, because you're not comparing yourself to anything that's like fully real. Like, I'm sure there's people that post things that's authentic and genuine, and they don't edit your photos. I'm not saying that that's something that everyone does, but majority of it, it's all curated for social media. Do you know what I mean? So it's not always as real as
people are going to post like their best foot forward. They're going to show like the highlights. They're not going to show the low parts. And so you're not always getting like the whole story when it comes to ingesting other people's content. And also with the influencers too, like you don't actually know them, and you don't know what they've been through or what they're going through at that time. And so you really just can't always compare yourself, because you don't know the whole story. And that's a big thing of it, because sometimes what's being shown on camera is completely different than what's happening in reality.
Exactly. And here's the thing too, is that comparing yourself to influencers, like their homes, their belongings, their this and that, a lot of influencers will actually rent the spaces that they're filming in. So when you see somebody's home or somebody's kitchen or somebody's, even car, a lot of that stuff is, you can rent that. You can go to a space to film that. Like, I've done that for certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do want to say too, like this last point is, if you are going to make content and try to be a content creator, I would stick with content that's going to make you happy. Because if you try to do content that you think is going to make other people happy, or you think is going to be what's more popular, and that blows up, you're going to be miserable, because you're going to be stuck in this thing that you don't like. And that's going to make you so burnt out and so miserable. And so if you're making content, just make sure that it's something that makes you happy. And not everyone needs to be a content creator either. Like, it's fine to just ingest. You don't have to post. And if you are, just be very authentic to yourself. And I think that was a big move from like the Instagram to TikTok, is TikTok people are more authentic to themselves. But I was seeing it trickle up, everyone's starting to be a little more authentic. And I think that makes it way easier to do.